Yeah.
All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching from. I hope you are doing great. It's Friday. Yeah, I'm so excited. I don't know about you, but I am super excited that it's Friday. Right, this week we are a trio. We are three of us again talking about an interesting topic. In fact, I have a lot to say about this topic because just today, I had concerns with this, about this topic. So, as a parent, how do you determine chores for your children or for your child? That is a massive question. So yes, we are going to be exploring today how we can make sure we do it right and how we can make sure we get a balance about the chores that we give our children. So for anybody who doesn't know me, my name is Peggy Barre. I am a founder of Arise and Thrive Academy and a survivor empowerment coach and domestic abuse practitioner. I'm going to pass you to Nelly and Aisha to introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another show, number 14. How time flies. My name is Nelly Kwasumi. I'm a social worker and transformational life coach, and it's always nice to have you here today. Over to Aisha.
Oh, hi. Happy weekend, all. Aisha member. I'm a support worker, self-awareness coach, and founder of Shine 8 Foundation. Lovely to have you here once again.
Amazing. So today, like I said, it is an interesting topic. And I'm sure this is one of the topics that, if you trust me, parents will always have an argument. A day never passes by without us having an argument when it comes to this. And we're going to be talking about why. Why does it happen? So assigning chores to our children is not just about getting help, or trying to make them to help us. It's about teaching responsibility. It's about teaching them independence and also, to an extent, teaching them teamwork. But how do we decide which chores suit our children? How do we decide which age appropriate responsibility we need to give them so that we don't also abuse our powers as parents and then we don't also sleep on our responsibility to make sure that we empower them to do these things. So I guess, Nelly, I don't know whether you want to say something about that then before we just jump on our first point, which we're going to be talking about age appropriate chores for children.
Yeah, just to add that, yes, there is lots and lots of debate whether children should be assigned chores. And looking at cultural dimensions, in certain cultures, for instance, in African culture, children have chores. I'll compare that to the British culture. I don't know about other countries, but this is a personal experience where some children feel that they don't have to be given chores. And that is not just coming from the children themselves. They must have learned that from someone somewhere. So we will be exploring that today to go into details about assigning or giving chores to our children.
Absolutely. Anything to say, Aisha, before we jump on to our next point?
I will just hold on and say, let's write in because it's quite an interesting topic. And I'm happy to play the role of the child here. So let's get on this debate then. I don't think it's going to be only a discussion, it's going to be a debate as well. Let's write on that.
Definitely, it's going to be a debate because I feel that sometimes children feel like parents don't get tired, right? Parents go to work, they come back home, they need to cook, they need to do the cleaning, they need to do the tidying, and then when you call a child, say, please, can you do me wash the dishes or make those, like, I've heard it so many times, Mom, it's not fair. It's not fair. And I'm asking, is life fair? Life itself is not
Life is
fair.
very
Okay, is
difficult.
it fair on me that I went to work? I came back, I went and did shopping. I brought back the shopping. I'm just asking you to unpack. Oh, yes, you've unpacked the shopping. Then I'm asking you to just clean me maybe the pot so that I can cook some food for you. And you're saying it's not fair. Right. So what is fair about it? So Aisha, say something on this one before we continue.
um I don't know. Honestly, I'm going to say this thing, it's difficult to play the role of the child and a parent as well, because when you are in that young stage, you feel like life is not fair. I, honestly, you stated that you feel like you're suffering, you're being suffered by your parents. But when you start growing up now, and then you find yourself in the position where you are the parent, you understand that it is appropriate, it is normal, it is something that it has to be incorporated in our kids, that they have to learn how to do these things, not necessarily because they are helping us today, but because you carry this with you. You won't find yourself in a position where you be like, "Ah, how do I go about this?" You just need to maybe put one or two together, and you will find yourself out of certain situations in life because of some basic thing you did at home, and you claim to your mom or dad that it wasn't fair, but then it saves us somehow. So I think as we ride on, we'll be able to understand better what is happening and how to better allocate these chores and not feel like life is not fair.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Just to say, I did some research here, and I'll just go on the first point, age-appropriate chores for children. So according to experts, it's not from me, from experts, though some of them I agree. Okay, the experts say assigning chores to our children is good. And they suggest that from the ages of 2 to 3 years old, children need to be assigned chores, such as putting away their toys, wiping up when they spill things like drinks, and helping clear their plates. Then, from 5 to 7 years old, the chores are to make up their beds, set or clear the table, putting away toys, clothes, and pets. That's caring for pets. From 8 to 10 years old, put away their laundry, vacuum or sweep, help prepare meals, care for pets, pack their lunches. From 11 to 12 years and above, cleaning bathrooms or kitchen, loading and unloading the dishwasher, doing laundry. It could be under supervision, like when they're setting it up, helping in cooking and preparing meals. They can prepare the meals, but when it comes to putting on the hob, that's when they need the adult to do that. So far, that's what the experts say, the chores, depending on the ages. And I totally agree. So
And yeah, I totally agree with that as well, Nelly. Yeah.
yeah, so for me, I agree with that, because when we give chores to our children, it's got lots of benefits, because if a child knows that they have done a chore, no matter how small it is, that child feels a sense of accomplishment and they are proud of themselves. And it has so many benefits that I'm sure will come to the benefits later on, isn't it, Becky? We'll come to
Yeah.
that
Wait.
later. But it's nice. So then we need to start shifting the narration that we have, because, okay, I'll give an example of a child I worked with. This child was the last year of primary school. What age would that be? It was in year
That will
six.
be
So
about is it
10,
about 10,
10,
10?
11.
Mm-hmm.
So this child was on a open to social services. I was a child social worker. And as I was doing work, this mom was saying that she wants the child to be diagnosed for ADHD. So then,
Mm.
but she was really frustrated because 5 times she had been to the doctor and they had done their assessment and they said the child doesn't meet the criteria. So then
Mhm.
I was helping this mom because she was really struggling. Anyway, so I was working with them. I did separate sessions and then a joint session. And
Mhm.
what came out from the child is he said he liked cooking and he was one of the top students in food tech in his class.
Mm.
But then when he comes home, he comes with the recipe, excited that he will do the cooking with mom. But when he comes, mom will be like, no. And the no was just no with a full stop. That no. So when I was exploring that with the mom, mom said, oh, no, no, no. He'll burn himself. And if he burns himself, she will get in trouble. That social
Mm.
services will say that it's neglect. I said, no. So I encouraged her. I said, this is something the child really likes in school, and he is top in their class for that. I said, what if the child comes with this recipe and then you and him do and prepare the meal? It will be like a bonding activity. And when
Mhm.
it comes to putting it either in the oven or on the cooker, you,
Mhm.
mom, you put it on. And she was like, oh. So you see, sometimes that is just it's a chore. But
Mhm.
this one, the child was really interested to do it, but the mom was stopping the child. And that linked to the child not wanting to do many other chores. Because, like, even having a bath, mom will fill up the bathtub for this child and tell him to go and have a bath. And the child will not want to bathe. Not that he didn't like to bathe, but it was just how mom told him to go and do it. And he told me, he said, Nelly, um, there are certain things that I can do for myself, but mom doesn't let me do them. So,
Yeah.
so
Is
I
that
think
is that overprotection? You want to
exactly.
overprotect. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
unfortunately, I would say, if I must come in here, I would say it is high time parents please allow children be children.
Mm.
I know we are being cautious about being entering troubles and having social workers come collect the kids from us and all of that, but then allow kids be kids, because when you take away that time, I mean, we are going ahead. We're not walking backwards to say, I'm going to be 5 years old today and then tomorrow I'll be 2 years old. Or yeah, we going ahead. If I'm five this year, tomorrow I'm looking at being six, not four. So once we miss certain stages of life, getting them back will be very difficult. And if it's a certain stage that the child yearns to have this stage, they are going to maybe like act out of their age, because if you're pushing them ahead, like, oh, you're thinking it's a baby, it's a baby, it's a baby, and then they're getting out to the stage where, okay, you've allowed them past where they should have been the baby, maybe a child growing up, and then the teenage and all of that, and then you're sort of all of a sudden they are adults now. They are adult just by age, but their actions, their mentality stays with the baby, because that was the only stage you gave them. So if we could allow children be children and instead work on ourselves, understanding that when these children are growing, we need to put in measures. For example, now using the example with the mom and the child, she says she's scared he's going to burn himself. Why don't you use that as an opportunity or a medium to show this child that, okay, there is a danger of fire and heat? If you're cooking and you go like this, like that, you risk hurting yourself. There, this child understands that mom is not stopping me from cooking, but mom is trying to make me know that there is a danger of heat and fire whilst I'm cooking. And what happens is the next time I'm cooking, even if mom is not there, my teacher is not there, I'm going to remember that there is something called heat, there is fire, and it's dangerous to the skin. And I'll be cautious to ensure that once any activity I'm carrying on whilst cooking, I am cautious not to get burnt, because we are
Mm.
not going to be there every day. We go and leave these kids in childminders, nurseries. I promise you, you will not be able to have somebody to sit 100% with that child and cater for the child the way you would do at home. Even ourselves, we don't do that with our kids to say we have 100% to sit with them. So we need to allow these children be children and understand that they will make errors, but we should focus on trying our best to ensure that they know what these errors are and how to avoid or remedy these errors, because some of them we can't avoid them, rather than keeping them totally away from it. And tomorrow when they find themselves in a situation where they must face similar or maybe the same situation, and then they're like totally lost and dumbfounded.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Aisha. Thank you for sharing that. Because looking at it, what we have shared, there are life skills that children gain. Life skills. Because like with the fire, that child will know that fire means danger, and they'll already develop a way to deal with that fire. But then if we keep stopping them that, oh no, I don't want you to burn yourself.
Don't go to
The
the
child,
kitchen. No cooking.
no, the child will not know how to even use the cooker. And then the parent, how long are you going to be doing everything for the child? And it is sad to say, this is the reason you see young people get to university and they don't even know how to make toast. How sad is that? Toast at the age of university, you don't know how to make toast. So as parents, if we do that, we are not helping our children. So those are some of the advantages of giving chores to our children. But then let's not take what we need to do as parents and just dump them on our children. Sometimes children might want to do a task that is above their age. It depends on their abilities, their capabilities, and their mental development, because children grow at different stages. For me, I say, watch out what the child indicates that they want to do. Like
Yes,
some children, they like to wash dishes. So is it their toy dishes? Give them their toy dishes in a bowl. Let them wash it. They are learning how to tidy up. So it's just to monitor the children and see what signs they indicate that they want to do and encourage them. Like now you see there are lots of toys where you have the kitchen, the toy kitchen. Children will go there, they have different, whether fruit, croissant, different kinds of food. They will be doing the pretend cooking that they are cooking. Those, again, are different skills because the children learn to put, whether they are putting banana and they know that these are fruits, this is carbs, this is protein. All of that, the children they are playing,
any life
yes,
skills. Yeah.
but they are gaining some life skills that as they are growing older, they can differentiate their toy fruits with proper fruits. And we might underestimate, but it takes them so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with both of you. And what I'm looking at here, we are to right. So any person or any parent or any child that have grown from our cultural settings, we know that these things come naturally. Like, you know what, you cannot escape it. You have to learn this thing. But even like Aisha said, the society is evolving. The task that we were asked to do when we were kids, most parents today, the Gen Z parents, they're not assigning those tasks to. In fact, there was somebody that said, "Oh, I'm going to send my child to my country in Africa." They're gonna, but do you know what? There are some kids even there that do not even know how to do anything. Most of their life they've grown in boarding school, they've gone to boarding school and all of that. So again, that culture of teaching our children to do chores is gradually slipping. Now let us turn the face, the lens, and come back into the Western world, because this is where the war of this house chore thing is bad, right? Because kids feel like it is their responsibility not to do it, they'll turn and say, Mom, but it's your responsibility to care for me. It's your responsibility to do this, because that is what they have been told. That is what they have been taught. And that's what they do believe, right? So I'm glad that, Nelly, you read those age-appropriate chores from the age of 2. And now for any parent who is watching, this is a challenge to say, you know what, hang on, when you were reading those chores, there was some part that I felt like maybe I did not do as a parent. Maybe I skip that part as a parent. Maybe not to take, I did not, teach my child at an appropriate age to do certain things. But then, thank God, we can always catch up. But then catching up is where we can put more pressure now on our children to do things at a later age that we did not teach them at that younger age. And that begins to put pressure on them. And that's why sometimes they may begin to resist, because these things that you didn't teach them, we didn't teach them from that early age. Now, there was a time where I was attending one event, and one of the ladies shared in the event was survivors of domestic abuse, women were there. And one lady shared that her son didn't go to school that day because she, the mom, did not wash that child's uniform. And the school is ringing her and complaining that the child hasn't been to school. And is because the child, the mom said the child refused to go to school because the child's uniform was dirty. And then the school is quarreling the mom that, why didn't you wash the uniform? And now guess what? This child was 14 years old. Right, was 14 years old. And in that meeting, I was telling them that my son is not as if I was like a perfect mom, come on. But I was saying that my son started ironing his school uniform at the age of 10. And a majority of them in that class told me that I was abusing my child. They said that was child labor. How can you allow a child at 10-year-old to iron? I said, come on, I will stand there, watch them iron. It's not as if I'll leave them. But I said, at that age, now he knows that he can wash his uniform, he can iron his uniform. They was like, oh, you needed to see, they almost crucified me that day. But then this is the problem where we leave things too late. We leave it too late, and then when we get to a certain age, we think that, just like Aisha said, we feel that it's by magic that they're going to learn this thing. No, that's where they're going to turn and resist and say they're not doing it. So I feel that, yeah, this is an interesting topic to see that, either if parents have these children at the appropriate age, either they start teaching these children at appropriate task now, or they start looking at how to remedy that gap. Just like Aisha said, they've left the gap. That child has grown and gone ahead, so how are they going to catch up? This is where that tussle, that fight among parents and children starts, because the parents is saying that, oh, you are a grown up now, you're a teenager, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. But the child is saying, hang on, I don't even know how to do those things that you're telling me to do. How do I do it? And then you're putting pressure. You must do it. Your mates are doing it. See, and so is doing it. But this is where fight starts.
Yeah.
And we don't want that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Hi, Patience. Patience B is online. She has just written. Let me read what she has written. Hi, Patience. We can see you. So Patience has said, with Gen Z conversations, is very important. We are dealing with children that are very smart and want you to start really early to hold conversations on the importance and benefits of engaging into small chores at home. Absolutely, the earlier, the better. Exactly. You are spot on, Patience. Thank you for that. Peggy, what you shared, I was just smiling because I had a similar experience as you. So I was in I know I can't remember where I was, but I was with a group of professionals and we were talking. And at the time, my son was 11, and I said, my son cooks for himself. And they were like, what? Similar to you. And I was like, he does his wraps and his whatever. I said, he knows how to use the hub, but it doesn't mean that I just allow him to use the hub. And for him, he felt so proud because sometimes when he is cooking, because he likes pasta, sometimes when he's making his pasta, he's on video call with his friends, telling them the steps. And to him, it's a pride for him that
Point
he
of
can cook what
accomplishment.
he wants.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But then, just linking on chores, when my one of my daughters was 7 years old, that was when we just came into this country. She was going to school, and like children in school, they'll talk about the activities, what they do at home after school. So she went, and because for her, she knew that washing the plates was her job.
Normal thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So she would go to school and they'll talk about, she would say she went home after we ate, she washed the dishes. But then after some time, I noticed that she would come back from school and she would not wash the plate. And I'll be like, what is going on? She'll be like, oh, mom, I'll wash it. But then she will not wash it. She will not wash it. And then she was getting really angry. So when I asked her, she would just say nothing, mom, and she will not explain. But I knew that there
Mm.
was something behind it. So one day I called for her. I said, please, I just need to know because the behavior that you are exhibiting is really strange. Just tell me what's going on. And she opened up and she said, Mom, in school, when speaking with her friends, she said that she washes the dishes, and her friends were laughing at her that, haha, are you a slave? Do you get paid? And things like that. So that's why she doesn't like to wash the dishes. I'm like, oh. I said, okay, thank you for telling me. I said, but what do you think about it? She said that for her, she knows that it is her duty to do it because I have done the cooking and she will just wash the dishes. But now, why she doesn't want to wash the dishes is because when she goes to school and she's talking with her friends and she tells them that she washed the dishes, they'll be laughing at her and saying that she's a slave and things like that. So that is why she doesn't want to wash the dishes. So I was like, okay, fair enough. But if you eat, do you expect me to wash your plate? And she was like, no, mom, not my plate, but I'll not be washing. So we came to an agreement there that she needs to wash her plate. So sometimes, like we said at the beginning, other children learn whatever they learn, and they can easily influence other children. And just in line with what Patience has said, the Gen Z generation is a different breed. But then I think the responsibility goes back to parents because whatever the role we play is very important because these children don't have any prior knowledge to the chores that we give them. If we don't give them any chores, they will not know that they have to do the chores. But again, I think it will go to another point that we'll discuss on how we explain these chores to children because if we use it in the form of punishment, the children will resist, similar to what Peggy said. Children will resist. But if you incorporate chores as part of family routine, children will easily get into it. For instance, you wake up in the morning, make up your bed so your room is neat and tidy. Unlike if you go and the child has not made up their bed, you start cursing the child, and that child will take it as punishment that probably they are not good enough. And they might just make a decision that, you know what, even if I make the bed or I don't make the bed, I'll be shouted at. And they'll decide not to do it. So again,
Mm.
it depends how we talk about the chores to our children. And it is good to start early because, like chores, it's similar to boundaries. They go hand in hand. Chores, boundaries, and routines. We need to start very early when children are young. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that brings us nicely to the second point, which is talking about balancing responsibility with encouragement. Because yes, it's we as parents, we we are teaching our children these life skills. We call them lifelong skills, because these are skills that they're going to take with them wherever they go, and even into their own homes, because they too someday are going to become parents, so but by even though we know that they need to do, how can we balance it with encouraging them? Should we just be up there as parents screaming down, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do it? Or how can we do it in a way where they will love it and not resist it? Because encouraging them, I think as parents, we need to get to that point where they feel comfortable and happy to do it. Aisha, am I right? As a child,
Yes.
it gets
Yes.
to a point where you feel like, you know what, you are loving what you do, because you also know the benefit of that thing that you're doing. You're not doing it because, oh, if I don't do it, I'm going to be punished, for it. So yeah, do you want to throw some light on that, Aisha?
Yes. I'd like to take us back, if you don't mind, to say that
Yes.
as children first, the brain starts, or shall I say, the brain is um formed with like 2 years. A child is able to comprehend, but then some children, the brain forms quite earlier, and others later. So before we even start allocating chores to our kids, I would encourage parents to first of all study their children. If you have 3 kids, I would tell you that never will it quote me anywhere at any time. These 3 kids will not have the same capacity. There are 3 different kids, they came out 3 different times. Even if they are triplets, they will have different capacities. And this is where we parents, we have to first of all understand our kids. And if we understand our kids, it will make things easier for us with that light. And again, understanding, let's take, for example, on ourselves as adults, as we may say, if you are put to do a job you don't like, the output will not, if we want to be honest, will not be as efficient or as good as when you're doing something that you like.
Yeah.
I would take for myself an example. Cooking is one of my hobbies. But there are days when I go into the kitchen, when I'm like under any pressure, or maybe I'm being asked to cook just for like, go and cook. The food that comes out, even I will be like, who cooked this food? But when I happily go into the kitchen, I'll be doing this, doing that. And then the food, whoever eats the food will be like, no, you should be a chef. That's because I did that cooking at the time with joy.
Mm-hmm.
Reminding us about what we said in last session, that when you are trying to caution a child on what to do and what not to do, you are not just telling a child, do not do this, do this. You're explaining to a child why this is necessary, what are the
Mm-hmm.
benefits, and you don't only talk about the benefits, you talk about the disadvantages as well. Put the child, life is all about choices. And believe you me, we might think that they are just a year old, 2 years old, but if a child knows that if I'm watching Coco Melon, I'll be if you put the Coco Melon, they'll leave you to do whatever you're doing. That's a choice they've made. They've chosen the Coco Melon other than disturbing mom at the time. So no matter how young they are, they understand. They might not understand it to the fullest, but then there is the idea of choices, and you need to ensure that you put all this as, I don't know how to what right word to say, but then you tell the child the advantages and the disadvantages of doing a certain action and not doing a certain action, so
Mm-hmm.
that when they decide not to do it, even if at the time they don't remember, sometime it was going to ring in their heads that, okay, I did not open the windows today. If I walk into my room now and I get a pungent smell, I should be able to say, oh, I see why mom says I should open the windows,
Mm-hmm.
at least every day I should open the windows. And then next time they will remember to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, talking about punishment, Mommy Nelly, you mentioned, we are not supposed to make it like, okay, if you don't do this, I will not do this. That is how I grew up, unfortunately. We know that, okay, don't do this and you do this. My father will always be like, sweep the house before you come and watch TV. But believe you me, what happens is when he goes out, we don't sweep the house. We watch TV until when he's coming back. We know these times. When he's coming back, we turn off the TV, we soak a cloth, we damp the TV so that the back is not hot, because that's where he comes and touch to know we've been watching TV. We damp it a little bit and it's cold, and then with the speed of light, we sweep the backyard. And when he comes, he's happy and he says, come and watch TV. I mean, at that time, because we know we cannot watch what we want with him, we now would just be watching what he's comfortable with. And then he will feel like he's succeeded. But we know the games we've played behind. Not many of us are able to differentiate that is just being tricky and it's not a good way, and may end up passing it on to our kids.
Yeah.
But if we adopt the thing to say that instead of giving children, say, if you don't do this, I would, maybe you'll not visit this friend, just let them know the disadvantages and advantages of doing that. Because the moment you say, if you don't do your homework, I'll take your phone away from you. 1, 2, 3 times, what happens is I will start building up that resistance to do without my phone. And what happens is when I know that, okay, mom's going to take my phone at 8 p.m., I ensure that by 8:01, I've already put plans to keep me busy whilst I'm away from the phone. And the same mom is going to get tired and give me the phone because maybe she's going out and she'll want to call me to tell me what to do. But then, if I know the advantages and disadvantages of a certain thing, yes, some of us children are so crafty. We decide not to respect, but I promise you, parents, we know what, when you say these things, you lay out the advantages and disadvantages, we learn them. And then it stays in our heads. When we go out in the world tomorrow, we use them, we utilize them in your absence. We just want to be babies by you because we know you're our strong, like you're our umbrella. But
Yeah.
please, please, dear parents, do not forget to instill this in your kids. Let them understand why they are doing certain things. Why are you not to do this? Why are you to do this? Differentiate between your kids. Do not put your kids all in a basket. Understand your kids differently as individuals. Use the person-centered approach when dealing with your kids. Know this person. This is what this person likes. Allow them explore in that field. What you do is you corner them to ensure that they are knowing the rights from the wrong. Corner them. Go with them. Make it something that they'll enjoy doing. Make fun out of it. Have a discussion about it. Oh, you were sweeping, you were washing the plates today, you broke a cup. Imagine that everybody was breaking a cup, and then say, "Ha, Miss will not have cups today," and we'll laugh. And they'll be like, "Oh, we're laughing like that. But do you know that breaking that glass that could hurt your finger? Maybe next time you want to wash, be careful." But if you break a glass today and then they beat you, tomorrow be like, she's going to give me 2 slaps. I'll just brace up for the 2 slaps and then I'm fine. And it's gone past. So parents, is just about we understanding ourselves, understanding our kids. No two children are the same. Let us be as playful, as friendly as we can with the kids, especially with the Gen Z generation, because our generation, the way we learn things, I think even a child of 2 years is already old enough to start washing plates. I'm sorry to say, but yeah.
Aisha, thank you so much. I just love the rawness of what you've shared. And when you were talking, what came to mind is a lot of parents, I don't know if it's out of ignorance, they are proud that they have obedient children. And your case of dumping the towel and putting behind the television to get cool, that is a brilliant idea because when we think or when parents want to bring up obedient children, they are giving room for these children to be crafty, to develop manipulation. And looking at the world today, because children have not been given that opportunity to properly make those choices. Rather, parents want their children to be obedient, and then the children have developed their own manipulative ways of getting what they want. And as they are growing old, that is what I am seeing in our society now. And us parents, because from a very early age, we are not giving those children the options. Like Aisha has said, let's be giving these children options. Let's not want to bring up obedient children where we will say, sit here, and we expect the children to sit there. Rather, let's make our children feel comfortable, even to challenge us, because every child has their own opinion. Let us not just be imposing our opinion on the children because we are older. We gave birth to those children. Yes, we did all those, but these children have their own personality. And like Aisha said, every child is unique and different. So we need to treat each child as an individual in their own right. So I just have some statistics here. Let me just read that quickly. So research linked children who do chores with high self-esteem, greater sense of responsibility, better time management, and organizational skills. In the UK, 62% of the respondents, those who participated in the research, said that chores teach children to be responsible and independent, while 72% said it helps children build important life skills. And that's what we have already talked about. So we parents are not to treat chores as punishment.
Yeah,
So I just thought, let me just
absolutely.
throw that out there. So we see the advantages of putting
Mm-hmm.
chores in place. So
Mm-hmm.
hi Martha, sorry, just reading a text, a comment there from Martha. Hi Martha, she says, hello ladies, interesting conversations. Thank you so much. Any
Thank you, Martha.
contributions you can share, you can type that, Martha.
Yeah. So when you were talking, both of you were talking, one thing that came to mind was that again, some parents raise children in a certain way, expecting miracle to happen down the line. I do feel that as parents, whatever thing, because I think we've said this before in our previous show where Nelly will say we are the number one role models for our children, whether negative or positive role model. We can be a negative, we can be positive for them. And whenever they see us, if you're a parent and you go to the kitchen to, I'm going to talk about cleanliness again. If you go to the kitchen and by the time you finish cooking, everything is everywhere. The spoon is left, the plate is that, the floor is and then the children come in and they're eating in that environment. You do that over and over again without actually teaching those children how to clean after your own self. Kids are watching. They're mimicking the environment. It's just like you get up in the morning, you don't make up your bed, the bed is just everywhere. That is what the child is seeing from that very, very early age. So there are ways that, yes, we're going to teach these children by actually telling them these things, but there are also ways that they're going to watch without us saying a word, you know. So, and what you said, Aisha, there that age appropriate their children are different. I can put my hands up and say my kids are totally different. In fact, they have started negotiating among themselves. There is one that will bribe the other to cook, right? And then when the one that cooks, my son, the last one, he loves cooking. He loves it. And so the eldest one has the money. So he will be the one to go do the shopping and then come and drop the bag. I say, hey, May, I bought this thing and bought this thing. Go to the kitchen and cook. And then when he finished cooking, there was one day I had to stand in the middle. And this is another thing, parents, be careful because you can get into a fight that is not necessary. There was one time that this boy came back from school, he cooked, and then he took the food on the plate. He went upstairs to serve the big brother who gave the money. And then big brother ate the food. And then he was expecting big brother to come down and wash the dishes. Big brother said, no, he is busy. And then big brother is expecting him to go into the kitchen. And that is where I put my foot on the ground. I said, this is not fair. I said, don't. I was actually defending little brother, thinking that I was doing good. And then by the time I knew it, little brother came down and said, Mom is fine, I'll do the dishes. I said, what happened?
Yeah, that is something very real. We don't look into it, but it's very real. I would say children have the bond they create among themselves, and
Mm,
as much as possible, parents, please give them that opportunity. Watch from the side. You don't know the transactions that has happened behind. Growing up, we used to do things of, oh, it's my day to wash dishes. If I give you my meat, you wash the dish for me. Imagine my mother coming now in the middle to say, no, it's your day, wash the dishes. And I know you've eaten my meat. I'm going to hold that as a grievance against you. Someday I'm planning for you to pay it. So parents, please, there are a lot of
absolutely.
transactions that go on behind with siblings. So
Yeah.
allow,
Yeah.
just walk from the corner, and in case it's getting out of hand here, you step in. But if
Mm.
it's everything is still calm and you hear them just exchanging their words and talking, so far as it's well be within limits, allow them do their things, please, because
That is a lesson that I learned. I learned a lesson that day because I was there trying to defend little brother and thinking that little brother is going to be on my side. By the time I knew, little brother said, "No, mom, don't worry." I said, "What happened there?" He didn't say anything, but the next day I knew that big brother had paid him to go.
exactly, there has been a transaction.
Yeah.
He's very
And you
consistent.
know, those are life skills
So now
because,
I'm being cautious. Now
yeah,
I'm very careful. I've done a rota for them. Everybody has got their day, but if I come on the day and see another person doing it, I'm not even saying anything.
Exactly. We've got a
I
lot of
think,
transactions that happen behind doors.
yeah,
And the thing is,
yes,
let the job be done and let the children, are we satisfied? You can have the chats with them to ensure that there is no exploitation somehow, or maybe somebody is just being too calculative and is playing the big man games behind. You can have just a very friendly, anyhow chat, like we said last time with them. And if you think and you assess that everything is going on well, let them be. Like I said, let children be children. And I
yeah,
promise you, you'll have a very peaceful home.
yeah. And I think, yes, I think what parents need to do is promote that bond with among
Sibling.
siblings.
Yes.
Because you look at it sometimes, parents will have favorite children, and some parents show that openly,
Yes.
Mm,
which really, really damages the bond
Yes, it does.
between or amongst children. So
mhm,
if any parent identifies that they like a child more than the other child, and they are showing that, parents, you are damaging the children.
mhm.
I think the
Because
family
then,
as a whole, even.
yeah, it's damaging the children as a whole. So it's for you to try a way to make a balance and to promote the unity amongst your children, because negotiations, transactions go on between them, amongst them,
Big,
that
big
probably
time.
you will never know.
Mm,
And
mm,
Big
especially
time.
if you are the parent who wants your children to be obedient, you will never know because they'll be doing their transaction and they'll never tell you, but
yeah.
they will know. Okay, so for parents to get to balance responsibility with encouragement, we've talked about them. Eh, include children when distributing the chores. Just have an informal discussion.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Use chore charts, like Peggy has talked about. Chart. Use chore charts that you are, say, washing the dishes. Peggy likes talking about washing dishes, so we'll
Cleaning.
just go with washing dishes. So if Monday is a washing the dishes till say Wednesday, and then the other person, yes, that's a chore chart. Let them know. You can use checklists. Sometimes have family meetings. Like this relates to what Aisha has said. Just have family meeting. It doesn't have to be formal. Just an informal family meeting, just to check in. How is everyone doing? Is is the chat working well? Because there you will be assessing if some or one of the children feels that they have outgrown the chores that you are giving them. So then
Mm.
you can ask, okay, if you are washing dishes and this other person is doing the laundry, do you want to swap? Or do you want to, I mean, whatever the chores are, you can swap, and that will help you to balance the chores according to what the children like and what is appropriate for their age, and discuss the chores together. So I
Absolutely.
think,
That is so, yeah, that is so right. And one thing that I wanted to just mention there before we move to the how to avoid power struggle is we should try as parents. Like Aisha said, kids are different. Everybody has got their unique capabilities, their abilities, and all whatnot. We should try to avoid comparing children. Like when we say, you see, so and so one, if I tell A does it, A doesn't stress me at all. But you are the one. No, we should avoid it. So, because when we start to do that, that again, those children begin to feel discriminated and they feel
Exactly.
secluded, they feel isolated, they feel like they're not worth it. Their self-worth, that is how we begin to damage their self-esteem, their confidence from that very, very young age. So, just like Aisha said, it's about appreciating and celebrating their unique capabilities or their unique talents. Some of them, they can just be lazy, say
mhm,
it plain, right? But it's okay. It's okay. And it's about us parents finding out that, but why? Why is it that you don't like doing these things? Or how can I help you? And this is where Aisha was talking about telling them about the important. I know sometimes us parents, especially the Afro, trust me, I've said it so many times. You're not doing this thing for me. I've already learned it. My parents already taught me these things. So if you're doing it, you are doing it for yourself.
I'm in my
You know,
house, so tomorrow you
so
move to
long,
your own
so long,
house.
so long as you're under my roof, sometimes you hear the word. So long as you're under my roof, you must have to do this thing. If you don't want to do it, get out. So these are some of the things that we have to understand that. But one thing I've learned as a parent is that these children, they're going through their own challenges,
Exactly.
emotional challenges. They're going through their own struggles that they may not want to share it with us because they feel that if they want to share it, it's going to be putting burden on us. And sometimes they suck it up. And the last thing we want to come and start ranting is about some chores, which they're looking like, in short, I wish you knew what I was going through. You will stop nagging about that your thing. So
mm,
again, yes, it's not, we have to find a balance, and it's about understanding our children, having the conversation like patient had said. It's about having a conversation, because if we don't communicate, if we don't ask why, how are you feeling, if we don't ask how was your day today, what is up with you, what's up, and that sort of thing, will not be able to understand. There are some days that I come back really tired, really, really tired, and I'll see my sink like a mountain. That day, rather than me shouting and screaming or saying who was supposed to, do you know what? I'll just say to myself, you know what? Let me give a break. I will do it. I will get in there, do it. And then when they come down and then they see they say, "Oh, mom, it's done." I say, "Yes, it's done." But then in that way, sometimes again, that will act as you hear somebody say, "Oh, my mom, I'm sorry. Next time I'll make sure I do it." It's done. It's done. It's done. So again, in as much as we will love these things to happen, children with our kids, it's about sometimes parents let's try to find a balance. Let's try to put ourselves in their shoes, to see what they're going through. And then because we don't want little things like that to damage our relationship. Am I right, Aisha? We don't
Exactly.
want little things like that, because that relationship is very, very important. We don't want it to get cracked in such a way that when they move and are gone, all what is going to be sounding in their head is that,
Freedom.
yeah,
I'm away from
if
mommy. I
that
can
makes
go
sense.
crazy right now. Yes,
Yeah,
that's right on point.
yeah.
and as I mean, we are talking about this, it just seems so easy, but there are lots and lots of children I will talk about children from the Afro-Caribbean community who
Mhm.
in their houses, they don't even have a voice.
Hmm.
They don't have a voice. And sometimes you talk to parents and the parents are like, when I was growing up, I used to cook for the whole family of how many numbers? And this is something that, yes, because we grew up that way, having at a very young age, taking so much responsibility for the household. It doesn't mean that we have to put those responsibilities on our children
Hmm.
because we are all learning. We can now know that, yes, our parents brought us up the way they did because of that's what they knew. But again, looking back, the chores that they gave us helped us to develop the life skills that we are using today. But then, how do we help our children to develop their own life skills? It doesn't mean that, I mean, even if we want our children to do the same chores that we did, let us give them the options, like Aisha said, let us give them the options so that they can choose and do something that they like.
Mhm.
Because, like, before the show, this session started, Aisha and myself we were talking about trauma. And people are, like in our community, the Afro-Caribbean community, we
Mhm.
don't understand what is trauma. We just think that it's something massive. But
Mhm.
it can be as small, I say small, but it's not small because of the impact that it can have. Chores can be a traumatic thing for a child that might affect them in their whole adult life
Mhm.
because it is how that child feels and the impact it has on them. So, communication, Peggy, how many times have we talked about communication?
I don't
I'm
think
sure almost
there's
every
ever going to
time.
yeah, there's never going to be a time where we're creating awareness without talking about communication, because all of this centers around the manner of approach as well, which is
Mhm.
communication. Even if it's not talking verbally, or but then how you react when things are done or not done, how you ask these things to be done, and then how you, like we say, we're talking about encouragement. How do we encourage them? So all of these things, because you can still be say that's good, but then your body language does not really state that you are happy with what has been done. But with the person reads the body language and says like, ah, mommy is just sending me off with the that's good, the person will not feel that sense of accomplishment. So I don't think we're ever going to stop talking about communication.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Peggy, I think is just a good time to go over to how to avoid power struggles.
Mhm.
Because I
Yeah.
think if we use the approach that we have just talked about to have this open communication, get our children involved, that is a massive strategy to avoid the power struggles. Because when we say, okay, child, wash the dishes, full stop, which that is something a lot of Afro-Caribbean parents do. They just say, do this, full stop. Let's improve on our communication, please.
Mhm.
Explain to the child, just like Peggy talked last time about the window, which Aisha has talked in passing about it, about opening the window. Just explain to
Mhm.
the child instead of saying, ah, today you've not opened the window again. Just tell, when you don't open the window, what do you breathe in at night? What do you breathe out? And things like that. Just like what he said. So when explain to the child, when the child understands, they are likely to do it. They might not do it to your standard, but
Mhm.
appreciate the level they have done it because that is how they can improve. But if they have not done it to your standard, it doesn't mean that you discard what they have done because that one you'll be dampening their spirit and it will really damage their motivation to do that task. Whether they do it and you feel that it's not done, appreciate them for the effort and not
Yes.
just the
Yeah.
results, the effort. that they've put in to even attempt to do it. Because like now, I mean, we've talked about Gen Z. Patience brought this up. We've never talked about Gen Z in this. Because I think it's just a way that we use to communicate with our children that makes a massive difference. And looking at it now, wherever this is coming from, parents feel that their their authority is being taken away. But I feel that parents are giving away the authority because of probably struggling to manage with their own selves. But then
Mm-hmm.
they are blaming the system. The system might have its own part to play. But then as parents in the household, we need to take back our responsibility. No one is going to give it to us. We need to take it by ourselves. So I think those are some of the things that I just want to add to avoiding power struggles. Peggy, Aisha,
Yeah,
if
I
any
just
of you
yeah, I
has
just wanted to
anything to
add
add.
something. I just wanted to add something, and then maybe Aisha will go have something to add on that. Another thing, what we're talking about Gen Zs, the Gen Zs today, they unlike before, well, it still stands that the first learning environment or the first educational environment is the home. That still stands. But we are dealing with a generation that they know that their learning comes from the social media. It comes from their phone. It comes from whatever thing they watches. It just whatever thing they watch. It's just like there was time, and then we as parents we're expecting them to learn some particular things that we learn. For example, if my mom taught me how to cook fufu, like corn fufu and vegetable, you know, I don't expect to force that on my daughter. My daughter must not learn how to cook that fufu. It's great that if he comes and say, "Oh, like mom, oh, I love this thing and I would really like to learn it." Yes, come on board, learn it. But I'm just saying this out of example. There was a time when I told my daughter, in fact, that time she was preparing to go uni, just like 2 years before she went to uni, and I was like, so now you don't know how to cook this, you don't know how to cook that. When you go to the uni, what are you going to be eating? You're going to be buying takeaway and takeaway. Do you know? She turned back. I don't know what I was doing that day. She turned back and she said, "Oh, mom, man, well, don't worry yourself. If I go to uni and I want to cook anything, I'll just go on YouTube and learn it." And
Exactly.
Topic.
she
And
just
that's
said,
it.
she
And
just said,
believe
"Don't
me,
worry."
she
She
gets
said,
it right.
yeah, she said, "Don't worry yourself. Why are you worrying? Why are you bothering yourself? If I want to learn, if I want to cook something and I really want to cook that, I'll just go and learn." And then I remember the first day she actually went to university and then she cooked her first jollof rice and fried plantain. Oh, she sent me a photo. She said, "You see, mom, I did it. I cooked my first jollof rice. I said, "Where did you get the recipe from?" She said, "YouTube, of
You too.
course."
Exactly.
So this is what sometimes again look I'm just saying that because as a parent I would have been feeling guilty that my child is going off to uni. And yes, she knows basic things. She knows how to do basic things at home. But to get into the nitty-gritty of, say, cooking a jollof rice, what all that details, she did not know that she knew a basic. But then here am I, I'll be feeling guilty that, oh no, maybe I'm not a good mom. Maybe I did not, I didn't teach her how to do this thing. Look at she's going to uni. And then we start that guilt sets in as parents. So this is what I'm just trying to say that look, as parents, in as much as we would love our children to do all these things that our own parents taught us, we should take off that pressure off ourselves. If that child wants to learn it and say, "Mommy, I really like this thing and I would love you to teach me how to do it." Bingo. That is where they are coming with a passion. And then, of course, we can teach them. But we should not try to put ourselves under pressure that they must learn it, even when they are resisting. Because this is where that power struggle comes in. When we are forcing them to learn something and they're resisting to not learn that thing. And that begins to ruin the relationship, maybe that parent-child relationship over food, where they're just going to turn tomorrow and look, search it on YouTube and cook it. So we need to relieve ourselves from that pressure, that guilt of saying that maybe we're not doing well or doing like, if you get what I mean, we should take off that pressure. We should relieve that pressure of us. I don't know, Aisha. You sound like you want to add something there.
I mean, I think we've touched the basics and the most important things, but one thing I would just like maybe run through is to say one of the things that put us that pressure and power and the struggles is because we want to do comparison. I'm sorry
Yeah.
to say this. We're looking at trying to do comparison. Oh, we sat in the meeting, a women's gathering, and A says, "Ah, the food we ate in our house today, my daughter cooked it," and you're thinking her daughter is 15, my daughter is 16, and she doesn't know how to cook. And you're forgetting to know that your own daughter, who is 16, braids very well. She can do someone's hair, and the other lady's daughter doesn't know how to do hair. And it reminds us again about the person centered manner of approach when dealing with
Mm-hmm.
kids. So, if we parents can just work on being content as well with what
Mm-hmm.
we have, I know it's very difficult to avoid comparison, but if we can suppress comparison as a whole and deal with our kids content, let understand this is a person, we're dealing with who this person is, we work on our communication, our manner of approach, and I mean, stay away from the punishment thing that's just building children. I mean, we should ask
Mm-hmm.
ourselves questions that if our parents were as harsh as they were, I mean, stories I heard my parents say and my grandparents, bless them, say, I mean, I don't know if I should term that abuse in capital letters or what. And then before my own story, we still find out that despite all of these tough upbringings, we still have recalcitrant, I'll put it in like,
Mm-hmm.
the wayward and the recalcitrant children. Why? Maybe we look at the part where as mommy Nelly was talking about the trauma, because once you're traumatized, what happens is the brain automatically looks for another way to find comfort and peace, so it deviates. You start seeing things like smoking, drinking, wrong company, and all of that. All of
Mm-hmm.
these, they have a role to play. Yes, they were tough, they were this, they were that, but we still have people who didn't turn up as every parent would want their child to turn up. Let us ask ourselves what went wrong, what
Mm-hmm.
went wrong, and then let's ensure, especially dear Gen Zs. I know one thing that has saved us to the point where we are is our parents, but when I look at this generation now, I don't know what will save our own kids because if we don't have nuns to support us, it's going to be bad. But then
Mm-hmm.
let us try to look at the fact that all of this was done, but we still have children who didn't meet up. So, what went wrong? And let's look at remedying these things rather than trying to force to say, even this thing of you can still send your child, you're in the UK, you send your child back to Africa, and the child will even be worse than whatever you could even think of, because you are
Mm-hmm.
not targeting the source. What is wrong? You need to understand the child first and work with
Mm-hmm.
that child as an individual. Let's suppress comparison, let's be content, let's use the person-centered approach every time in every situation, and let's do encouragements as well and involvements. I think
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much, Aisha, for that. Very powerful points there that you've talked about. You
Mm-hmm.
know, yes, our parents, our great grandparents, and the generation down the line, they did the best they could. But now, with all the knowledge that we have now, we are realizing that what they did was good at the time, but not good now because we are seeing the impact of some of what our parents, great grandparents contributed to who we are today. I say we don't blame them because they did the best they could with the limited
Mm-hmm.
resources they had. But now I challenge every parent, especially if you can see us watching, which tells me and us probably on this panel that you have the opportunity to use a phone or a laptop and the internet, which tells me you are able to listen and learn. Challenge yourself to learn. Don't be stuck on the beliefs and the mindset and your values that no longer serves you because it impacts your children and like Aisha has asked, what about our generation, the next generation? So we are still our children's first teachers. Teachers sometimes do have the math wrong as well, but then they quickly learn. So, yes, accept that as a parent, there is still much that we need to learn. It is never too late to learn. Put down your pride. Sometimes, like Aisha talked about wayward children, why are children wayward?
Mm.
Children go through emotional struggles, and because first they cannot even open up to talk about their emotional struggles, that
Mm-hmm.
leads them to start looking for things that they can do to suppress that emotional pain that they are experiencing. So then
Mm-hmm.
you as parents, this is a challenge I'm giving you. Now, you as parents, if you see that you start talking to your child, for example, and your child is like, no, I'm big, I'm taller than you, go on, go on. So you start like battling, you are exchanging words. Take a pause. Take a pause, because if you continue, you are losing it. Take a
Mm-hmm.
pause. And if, let's say, go back to the dishes, if you come and you say, you were meant to wash the dishes today, and then the child starts arguing, you as the parent, you are the one in control. Don't be
Mm-hmm.
exchanging words. Stop. Just put a
Yeah.
full stop. Even if you were in the middle of a sentence, put a full stop there. The reason you are putting a full stop is not that you are weak. It's just that you are taking back your control.
Mm-hmm.
And you are teaching that child that you do not accept argument, because that is not a way of settling out any dispute. Now,
Mm-hmm.
when that you feel that you can control your emotions, because at that time you'll be going through so many emotions, and when you are angry and you make a decision or you talk, wrong things come out. So when you pause, you are taking that time to breathe and then to refocus. When you calm down now, you call that child, you might say, listen, the way you talk to me, I don't accept it. It is very demeaning. It's not nice. Let's talk constructively. You might still talk about the same chores to wash the
Mm-hmm.
dishes, and the child will understand it in a different way. But if you go that to and fro, the child might decide at that time not to wash it. The next time, the child might feel that, oh, I won my mom or my dad in this argument. And imagine that's your control gone. No one has taken it away. Though parents will say that the system has taken it away, you are the one who has given your powers away to your children. So those are some of the steps that parents can take to avoid the power struggles with their children. You need
That
to.
that is that is so important, Nelly. And I just want to add on that. I've watched so many homes, so many parents have this power struggle with their children. And if I tell you some of the kids, very, very young, and you'll be wondering how on earth a child will even stand and look the mom into the eye, and like, the mom is up there, the child is there, and then the mom is talking and pointing. It started somewhere.
Yeah.
When we as parents feel that we want to use our voice to dominate the children, or we feel that we can argue, who is a child to argue with a child? How can you even start arguing? There are some, just like you said, there are some certain conversation that when it gets to a point, you as the parent, you just need to put a stop there. It ends here. Let us stop this conversation. It doesn't mean that it has ended. It will come at another time, but that time is going to come in a more better, calm, more conducive atmosphere for that conversation to continue. And this is why you will see some children would disrespect. In fact, parents will say the children are disrespecting them to a certain extent, which, yes, is true. That is disrespect. But I do feel that that is where the line was not drawn up properly, or even if it was drawn, you didn't put a stamp mark, you didn't stand on that line that, you know what, this is the boundary. You're not going to cross this boundary. You're not going to talk to me in a set how it has to. I will not even tolerate it. So this is where our voice as parents, we can give away our voice. And one day when we give away our voice, we're going to turn around and say the services or the system has taken away that voice. Same as if we go to stand somewhere and talk even about ourselves or even talk about our children. The way you will represent yourself as a parent, you can give away your voice or your right, and as well as you can claim that right, because just the way you will stand and talk, if you as a parent, you don't even believe in your own self and believe in your own capabilities as a parent, and you go in front of wherever, whoever it, and then you don't talk as a responsible, upright parent, they're gonna take your voice away. In fact, you're gonna give away your voice, because you're not going to be talking, you're going to be told. I don't know how to put it, but Nelly, I'm sure that as coming from as a social worker, you understand exactly what I'm trying to say. That sometimes I've watched so many families say, oh no, the system is like this, they don't respect me. When I talk, they don't listen to me, they're bullying me, they are doing this. And I always ask that the first day you had that meeting with them, how did you show up? Did you show up as a confident, resilient, capable parent, or did you show up as vulnerable? Because however you show up, that is how they're gonna take you the way you show up. When you were opening your mouth to speak, what did you say? What are the things that you were saying? Because again, they're going to take you for your word. Remember, they're going to interpret your words. They're going to, so these are things that we look. I'm saying that parents, we're in a society where it's very, very difficult. Yes, I understand that. It seems as if the society is kind of training our children for us. The society is kind of, it seems as if it has an upper hand, true to an extent. But when we show the society and we show up as knowing who we are as parents, I don't think we can be defeated. I don't think so. That is my opinion. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because wherever I go and stand and talk, I know my responsibility as a parent, and there's nothing that nobody's going to shove something down my throat that I know that is not supposed to be shoved down my throat, and I accept it. I won't. And I will not be also talking out of context. I'll be talking knowing confidently what I'm talking about, if you get what I mean. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I went a little bit
Yeah.
kind of
Peggy.
emotional there, but I feel that this is what parents are going through.
Yeah. You went on a tangent there, but I think it's very pertinent
Yeah.
because, like you said, in my role as a social worker, I've seen loads. And like parents, sometimes parents present different ways. Parents present ignorantly vulnerable. They are ignorant and they are vulnerable. Some
Mm,
parents present confidently vulnerable.
mhm.
Like they feel that they know too much, but then hearing what is coming out from their mouth, you are just thinking, like, sometimes I'm just thinking, just stop talking.
Mm,
Because some parents, out of ignorance, they will be talking and then they will be putting the blame on everyone else but for themselves.
yeah.
I can remember in the past we've talked about it. I think this is something we need to talk about because it is not only impacting our children, but it's impacting our children's education,
Hmm.
their welfare, in short, everything.
Yeah.
And then because it is stemming from the house, and whether we like it or not, we as parents are our children's first teachers. Yes, the children go to school, but how long do they stay in school? 6 hours. So
Hmm.
18 hours they are with us. We need to go back. Peggy, let's stop this here. Let's bring this as a different topic because as
Topic.
much
Yeah.
as parents say that their powers have been taken by, no, parents, you are the one giving your power. We always say we are open to learning. It's
Hmm.
not like we are learner, we are freaks to learn. It's just that it is life. And life gives us lots and lots of opportunities. Today we are talking about chores. And probably many years back, we wouldn't have thought that talking about chores will be a discussion topic, but it's very, very important because we realize the impact that it is having on parenting and on our children and the skills that they develop. So it's for parents to start learning. Yes, our children are smart because they use the smartphones and the AI and they all whatnot, but they don't have the experience. That's what makes a massive difference. Us as parents, we have the experience. Let's just add a bit of the knowledge on top. We will be a few steps ahead of our children. So then we will confidently, not confidently vulnerable, but we'll be confidently knowledgeable to help our children. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think,
Yeah.
Peggy, I'm mindful of time that we've gone far
Yeah.
and above. And I
Yeah.
think for the using chores to build confidence, we have talked about this in passing. So I think we don't need to go into that again. Or what do you think? Just
I just
knowing
think
that
we've
we are
yeah,
now,
I think we've talked I think we've talked about we've covered it because
yeah.
again, like we're saying, like just like Aisha said, when we explain to children why they're doing what they're doing, it's about they're going to be confident. If we teach them early enough, it builds them confident. It build that confidence, and life skills that they're going to move with. A child that knows how to cook and a child that doesn't know how to cook, who is more confident? Of course, the one that knows how to cook and knows how to do that safely and also understand why he or she is doing that. So I think this I think that is we've talked about it. So
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think the takeaway for me today is that we need to start early. All of us have talked
Mhm.
about that. Patience online has also, on her comment, she has talked about that. I think the takeaway for me here is let's start early. Start giving
Mhm.
chores to children early.
Mhm.
And we don't need to feel guilty to give children chores, but let's be
Mhm.
mindful. It needs to be age appropriate. It needs to be age appropriate.
And
And it
person-centered.
doesn't have to be punishment.
Mhm.
Put that together with the family routines and be consistent and praise children for the effort, not for the result.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Praise children because that will motivate them to continue to do the chores.
Yeah. Any takeaway from you, Aisha?
Yes. I mean, I'm just gathering left and right and everything, and I would just like to say on with the age appropriate, given that we are understanding as we are going on to say that the brain develops differently at different ages. Yes, we might have the age of the 2 years, but then certain children, as we've discussed already, I would say we should also, when we are talking about age appropriate, we should also talk about we should use the person-centered approach a lot, a lot, a lot. Study that child as an individual, deal with the child as an individual, and I'm still slamming on suppressing comparison and person-centered approach. And then that's it. That's it on my end.
Yeah. Great. So I think we've come to we've really covered it. So hopefully anybody who has been listening or watching it or watching or who is going to watch later, I'm sure there's some really good nuggets in here that we can take, because like I will always say, we are all a learning. I always say I am they call it what I'm still learning, right? So it's about we are all no parent is perfect. We learn when we come on here, we pick one or two things, and we move with it, we run with it. It's all about how to make sure that we become at least some parents that can raise up responsible children. So thank you everybody for watching, and I hope you will find it, you know, resourceful and useful. And again, like we always say, if you want to be part of this discussion panel, please drop us a message and we can bring you in, you know, so that we can talk, you know, together. But if there's any question, any comment, any contribution that you think you want to drop in the comment, we'll always read it. And if you have a topic that you want us to talk about, please drop it also in the comment section. Any of us is going to pick it up. And then, of course, what topic are we going to talk about in 2 weeks' time? Maybe that is the way that you can say something. Drop a topic. We'll gladly talk about it. Yeah. So anyway, have a great evening. I don't know whether, yeah, I think anybody, Nelly, Shaisha,
No,
want to say?
thank you
Yeah.
all so much. Have a nice weekend and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you so much. Bye.